There is nothing more gauche than Whitehall being nice to the provinces. Its attempt to force Channel 4 to move north from London has felt akin to the Victorian Church sending missionaries overseas to civilise the heathen. As austerity descends over museums and theatres across the land, the Culture Department wants to dispatch a few television executives to live among the natives to introduce them to kale, quinoa and turmeric lattes. That should cheer them up. Whitehall also seems to want to have some fun. No one has instructed Channel 4 where to go. Instead, the provincial cities are told they must line up like children in a workhouse and beg. London will decide who gets the smashed avocado. There will be 2 consolation, creative hubs, for the runners-up, wherever the judges can find something approximating Shoreditch High Street. Whitehall loves these beauty contests. Whether they're for Cities of Culture, or the Commonwealth Games, or Michael Heseltine's City Challenge handouts, ministers like to bask in the gratitude of the winner, while the losers can slink away to lick their wounds. British regional policy is an exercise in provincial humiliation. Channel 4 was adamant that it would not move, despite a Tory 2017 manifesto pledge to make it. Now the government has backed down, and less than a third of the staff, just 300, will up sticks. When I heard that Whitehall still wanted a competition, even for what cannot be more than a small office block, I assumed any self-respecting city would tell it to clear off. In the event, Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, Liverpool, Leeds, Cardiff and Glasgow all formed the usual queue, preening and shouting, "Please, me, me, me." London grandees will now go on a fact-finding, royal progress round the country, sniffing the air and deciding where is best. This is for a small group of workers, up to 80% of whom would rather quit their jobs than muddy their trainers in the provinces, according to their former boss, David Abraham. On one point the government is right. Today's urban renewal is not about manufacturing our traditional services but about creative hubs. The urbanist Richard Florida long ago pointed out that a broad spectrum of creative industries, from education to marketing and design, held the key to bright young people generating wealth in cities. The digital revolution, far from letting them disperse, seemed to require them to congregate, most markedly in older, bohemian districts. They crammed into San Francisco's Castro and New York's Soho, as they gravitated to London's Shoreditch and Silicon Roundabout. All they needed was a warehouse, some craft beer and somewhere that day life fused with nightlife, and every street corner was a chance encounter. Florida was mocked at the time, but he was right. A canal-side cafe in Gas Street Basin in Birmingham. Photograph, Alamy British provincial cities are starting to develop such places. You find them in Manchester's Northern Quarter, Birmingham's Gas Street Basin, Sheffield's Kelham Island and Leeds's Canalside. They have been underpinned by Britain's biggest urban growth industry by far, higher education. Today, more people occupy Tyneside universities than ever worked in its shipbuilding industry. A graduate school is worth a dozen Channel 4s. Unfortunately, you can bring bright young people to a city, but you cannot make them stay, let alone create. 2/3 of Birmingham's student population plans to leave on graduation, compared with just a third of London's. In 2014, economist Jim O'Neill's City Commission even suggested that graduates who stayed working where they graduated should have their loans repaid. When I met a group of employers in Manchester, their biggest complaint was not a lack of Channel 4, but that all their brightest children wanted to leave for London as soon as possible. If the government wants to help the provinces, it will do so not by doling out goodies to favoured cities, but by stemming its cash gusher into the capital. Every new project in London, every crossrail, super sewer, concert hall and Olympic mega project makes the capital more magnetic and generates more jobs. At the last count, the capital supplied an astonishing 44% of all the UK's employment growth, while the northwest shares of employment keeps falling. The north-south gap just gets ever wider. The government is right to want to direct some creative energy away from the capital. But Channel 4 is small fry. Creative hubs are created not by fairy godmothers but by internal combustion. They need to be self-generated economic activity, emerging from a sense of buzz, from context creating opportunities. That is why the best thing Channel 4 offered Whitehall was not to move its headquarters but to double its commissioning spend in the provinces. It is not carpetbaggers but contracts that lubricate hubs. And ministers themselves should set an example. They should forget Channel 4 and take themselves out of London while the Palace of Westminster is refurbished. They can commandeer Birmingham City Centre or Manchester Town Hall, bringing with them their aides and acolytes, researchers and journalists. And for the duration they might move the entire Treasury to Stoke-on-Trent. They would suddenly discover there is a Britain out there beyond their ken. I bet the regional imbalance would change overnight. Simon Jenkins is a Guardian columnist.